Good morning. So the sun has risen here, but I did not go outside today to get a picture of the sunrise. However, I did go outside a couple of days ago because I was staying at the beach in New Smyrna Beach, and I did about a 15-minute video of the sun rising. And so this painting is done from the reference screenshot photo that I got from that video. And I made the video specifically for all of you. So I will link it somewhere up there. I'm not sure if I've ever done this before, but I think there's a way to link it at the top of this. But anyway, if it's not there, that means I didn't figure out how to do it. But anyway, so I want you to use it if you want this. Sunrises are probably, or sunsets, and either or, they're at the beach. Sunsets and sunrises at the beach are probably the best-selling paintings that I've done. The most commonly purchased prints are of that. And this, of course, I've been doing greeting cards lately. And you put it on a greeting card. I send the originals to people I have heard about. I don't really know them always. I just read about them, or somebody tells me about them. So this will go to somebody who likes the beach. I have somebody in mind already, actually. But then the prints, I put the prints on. If you're familiar with what I do, I put them on Fine Art America and on Redbubble and sometimes on Etsy. I don't use Etsy that much, to be honest. But anyway, so in today's video, we're going to paint this. And I have a poem from Emily Dickinson called I'll Tell You How the Sun Rose. Isn't that appropriate? So let's do this right now. Yes, we had a really enjoyable couple of days at the ocean. New Smyrna Beach here in Florida. And I took the video as you saw, and hopefully some of you got to use it. And I was thinking I could do more videos like that. Just to give us all some reference photos that we don't have to worry about copyrights. Because if I tell you could use it, you could use it. Although, a reference photo doesn't need to exactly replicate the photo. I mean, well, what am I trying to say? The painting from the reference photo doesn't have to absolutely replicate it. In fact, I won't even replicate my own on this one. Did I do a good straight line there? I guess, well, it's a straight line, but is it a parallel to the, let me see, that looks like, did I make a mistake already? This early in the picture I made a mistake. Did I? Maybe I did. Let me do that again. Let me do it again. I think it goes from there to there. Let's see. What did I say? Measure twice, cut once, or something like that. And did I do it that time? Well, anyway, so yes, we had a good time. And what I didn't share with you until now, I'm going to share with you. We were there because a good friend had passed away. And he was a metal detector guy. He liked to go to the beach with his metal detector. And New Smyrna Beach is the beach of choice for him. He used to go there with his metal detector, so we went there to honor his memory, and we had a celebration of life. And it was very sweet. It was very sweet gathering of about 11 people. We stayed in an Airbnb. Have you ever stayed in an Airbnb? Oh, this was nice. I had never done that before. And I don't know, I'm sure they're all different. Just like all hotels are different, but it was a very nice place, right on the beach. There were 5 bedrooms in this place. Can you believe it? 5 bedrooms. It was a nice place. I'm going to start with the yellow. I'm going to put the sun a little off center. I'm going to make the white from the sun right there. Probably a lot bigger than it actually is in the photo, the screenshot. By the way, I don't know if I mentioned this in the intro or not, but if you don't know how to do a screenshot on your computer, I want to make a video just to show you how to do that. And I don't know how to do it on Windows. I only know how to do it on my Mac. So I'm going to have to look it up and see if I can give you a link to a video of somebody else who's done it. It's a pretty easy thing to get a screenshot. You know, sometimes for screenshots, I've actually used my phone, my camera on my phone, is what I mean to say. I have literally taken a picture of the TV screen. Yeah, I've done that. Taken a picture of my TV. And of course, it's not a great picture, but it serves me for the purposes of reference photo, for art purposes. So this is a relatively easy, as I always think sunsets and sunrises are relatively easy. At the beach, a sunrise and a sunset probably don't look all that different. But in the mountains they do. Because in the mountains you get that mist from the low-hanging clouds and all that. And and so that's what differentiates, I think, between a sunrise and a sunset. So you don't have the mist in the evening, usually. You might. But it's the mist that kind of identifies the morning from the evening, the sunrise from the sunset. So I keep this very yellow, closer to the sun. It was an amazing thing to watch the sunrise like that. Have I ever watched the sunrise in my life? I asked myself this. Have I ever? Is this my first time ever actually watching the sunrise? I was wondering that. If I'm going to be honest, I think maybe it was. As far as, taking my time to just stop and watch it. I've obviously been awake during the sunrise, and I probably looked towards it. But I could literally see the sun getting higher and higher in the sky. It was pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. Of course, now the challenge is to do this without messing up. Let's try to keep it as amazing as... Well, I can't even say this because I know this will never happen. I was going to say try to keep it as amazing as God made it. But you cannot do that. You cannot outdo God. You want to know the best artist? God is the best artist. You want to learn from the best artists? Study God's work. Study God's work. In fact, speaking of God's work, the house that we were staying in had a tree on the property. And because Google has this thing where you can like reverse search things. Have you ever done this? So I took a picture of the leaves and I did a reverse search, and I discovered that the tree was called a sea grape tree. It had another name too. I can't remember what the other name was. It was called a sea grape tree. And it absolutely had little things on it that looked like grapes. And guess what I did? I looked up to see if they were edible, if they were really grape, like you could eat them. And it said, yeah, on the internet, Dr. Google said, yes, you can eat them. So I picked some and I ate one, and I gave some to the people we were with, and some said, no, thanks. And others tried it, and they had the same kind of reaction I had. It sort of did taste like an actual grape. So that was kind of cool. Let me show you. I got them right here. Like this is now these are a few days old, so they're kind of dried out. But this is them. Yeah, I picked one of them and popped it in my mouth and ate it. Oh, I got watercolor on it. Oh, I'm dripping on my... Well, that was dumb. Look at that. I dripped right on my sunshine. Well, that's the name of a poem. That should be a poem. I dripped on my sun. That doesn't sound good. No, forget that poem. Don't even bother with a poem called Dripped on My Sunshine. Maybe it's about the rain. But anyway, wasn't that cool? Isn't that a cool little thing? The sea grapes. Yeah, Robin tried one. I tried one. A couple of people we were with tried one. All right, now I'm going to let that dry, and I'm going to go down here to the... Well, I can't do anything until that dries completely because it won't work. All right, let me add a little bit of... Let's see if this will work up here. Let me try it on the other side of the card. No, I don't think I want to do anything yet. It's still too wet. So that's my test area on the other side of the card. I'll wait till it dries. Well, I have a poem, so while it's drying, let me read the poem. It's by Emily Dickinson. I know you know Emily Dickinson. I think I've read her poems before on here. I might have even read this poem before. I don't really remember. But it's called I'll Tell You How the Sun Rose. Are you ready? Here it goes. I'll tell you how the sun rose, a ribbon at a time. The steeples swam in amethyst. The news like squirrels ran. The hills untied their bonnets. The bobolinks begun. Then I said softly to myself, that must have been the sun. But how he set, I know not. There seemed a purple stile that little yellow boys and girls were climbing all the while, till when they reached the other side, a dominie in gray put gently up the evening bars and led the flock away. I don't know what a bobolink is, by the way. A bobolink. B-O-B-O-L-I-N-K. Emily Dickinson was an American poet, regarded as one of the most important figures in American poetry. She was born in Amherst, Massachusetts on December 10th, 1830. She passed away on May 15th, 1886. She was only 55 years old. She went to Mount Holyoke College and Amherst Academy. Pretty cool. Alright, let's think about this picture now. By the way, you know what I could do? I have my little pen and ink here. And the reason I have it is because I want to put the little guy walking in the surf that I videotaped. So let me get the pencil back out. And so there's the sun. It's going to be reflecting down here. And there's the horizon. He's right about here. What do you think? So I'm just going to tiny sketch him in. I just don't want to trust the watercolor because I feel that it'll be so small that it might not work. And I'm sketching it first. I know it's not much, but it's just a little guy walking. A little person, a little silhouette. And the silhouette has a reflection, of course. What do you think about that? Does that look good? Just a little. Not much to it. Just gotta make sure. Sometimes it's hard to do the little tiny things, you know? So I'm assuming this is a guy. Maybe that's a lady. I don't know. But I do think I made the head too big. See, I have a tendency when I'm doing things very small. So let me erase the head a little bit. Make it smaller. Just a little smaller. And then I'll take this pen and I will commit to it. I will make it very small. I guess if I make it too small, I can always make everything else larger. Just a black area that gives us the impression that this person is walking. And you know what they say? They say make the person look like a carrot. But I kind of don't want to do that here. The legs are like carrots. Here we go. There's our little tiny person, our miniature person. And I'll put a little bit of a reflection here. Just a little bit. I like doing it with the ink because it's permanent and it won't, I hope it won't smear with the water. There's a little person walking on the water. Right in the surf. By the way, that was a beautiful thing to see too. Just to see people out there jogging, riding bicycles. Do you know when I made the video, there were a lot of this. Do you know what a no-see-em is? Those little tiny bugs that bite you, but you really can't see them. You can see them if you look at them, but you practically can't see them. They're practically like like miniature mosquitoes or something. I don't know how to explain what they are. But all right, this is not so wet now. It's a little wet, so I could do a little bit of these darker clouds that are up in the sky. These distant clouds. So these little no-seams were biting me as I did the video. I stood there in one place for, I don't know, 15 minutes maybe. And I believe I breathed one in, and therefore in the video, which I could have edited out, but I didn't want to lose the. I like looking at videos that have actual sound, and I like especially the ocean. So unfortunately, it made me cough when I breathed in one of those little bugs, and then it made me sneeze. So yes, in the context of the video, I am coughing and sneezing, and that's why. Now you know why I was coughing and sneezing. Alright, now, as long as that's dry right there, I can start adding some color there to the top of the water. I want to make sure I keep the, right under the sun has to be really, really light. So let me just try to make this really super blue. As long as that's dry right there, it should work. I'm not going to worry about erasing the pencil line because the paint should be dark enough to cover it. But I do think the most delicate part of this painting is that line right there. That line has to be straight. If it's not, then it won't look like Florida, because Florida has, well, there are some places where there are islands. I shouldn't say there are no islands, but it's not like Hawaii or the Bahamas. I want to keep that light right there. I want to keep that red, in fact. Just keep doing that. Once I get that line on there, I should be okay. You see I have a very flat brush. See how flat it is? Very flat. Okay, now let's add some red to that. Some red and orange. Bring that up to it. Do this side. And it's really very, very sudden. All of a sudden it becomes white, pure white, just reflecting into over the surface of the water. Let me get some of that yellow in there. And we'll try to blend the two. Just blend them a little bit. And we want to keep that pretty close to white. Kind of a mixture of blues and purples and yellows and oranges, and I'm definitely using the watercolor, the beauty of watercolor, to kind of create this whole look that I want to create. You know, we want the surf to be coming around just around here. And we get some reflections on him, and that reflection should come all the way down here. So let's go ahead and add some of these dark grays and purples at the bottom here. And then we'll bring the surf down. We'll bring it down. So we had a good time. As I mentioned, it was for a celebration of life, so it was a very somber time. Well, absolutely, that's not right to say, though. We had a good time. And the moment, we had a moment there that was somber. But to be honest with you, everybody was having a good time, and everybody was remembering. And, it's a funny thing how we grieve as people. When we love somebody we lost, we grieve quietly to ourselves. And then we also grieve in groups. But it's not always like sobbing and crying like they show in the movies. A lot of times it's laughing because you're remembering, in the case of the guy we knew. I mean, he was a really great guy, and I'm not just saying that because everybody says that when somebody dies, right? No, I'm saying that because it's true. And there were so many things to remember that were funny, because he was funny. He loved life, and like I say, he would go to this beach to do the metal detecting thing. That's something I've never done. But one of the guys that was there had a metal detector, so he was trying to replicate what our friend did, and he found nothing. I was gonna drop some coins, so he would find something, but I didn't do that. So. When I did this video, I was standing on top of a staircase. There's a wooden staircase there. And so I had this little vantage point that was kind of cool. I want to keep this. Let's put this red right here. Yeah, I brought my paints with me to the beach, but I didn't use them. I thought I was going to, but it was just, it was a 5-bedroom house, and there were 11 people there, so there was always somebody awake. It was always weird to get out the paint and just do that. So I didn't do that. I didn't know before I left what it was going to be like. So I brought the paints thinking I might paint. I have painted on the road, so to speak. I've painted at a campsite, but not a sunrise. Sometimes I think because we have photographs, we might as well photograph it and then use a photograph as reference, because it's kind of hard to really paint quick enough to capture a sunrise it's a challenge, and I have never done it. Maybe you have. Maybe you have done that. Let me know if you've done that. That would be cool to hear about. How do you quickly get a sunrise on paint? You have to use your memory a lot, right? Okay, let's keep that like that. I think once we get all this layered in, then we can start adding the waves. Go ahead and add a little bit more. A little bit here and there. Just trying to spread it out now. Just a dark area here, just kind of gray. Leading up to it. Go ahead and add more darkness to the horizon. On the edges here. And the paper is buckling. I've mentioned this before, that the description of the paper says it won't buckle, but it does buckle. But that's okay. You just work with it, you know. I've read a few comments where people are discouraged because the paper buckles, and I don't know how to stop that. But the answer is not how to stop it. The answer is how to work with it. I think that's the best thing I can tell you. Trying to get some waves here. Lots of waves. It was not a rough sea. Nope. It was very gentle compared to sometimes, like when there's a hurricane out there. I've been at the ocean when there was a hurricane, like a couple 100 miles out, so the storm isn't there, but the effects of the storm are, and the water is so rough. I do see people swimming in it when it's that rough, but it's not a good idea. Well, it's not a good idea for me. I guess it's a good idea for them, but for me it's not. Okay, let's try. Now we gotta let that dry, I think. Birds are waking up. Do you hear them? You know what's interesting is the sun is rising right now as I'm painting this, but I'm indoors, so I can't see it. But I can see it. I can see the light coming through the blinds, the curtains. Yes, I do think that beach pictures, sunrise and sunset pictures are probably the best-selling landscapes that I've had anyway. I don't know why. Maybe people just like the idea of looking at the beach, looking at the sunrise and sunset at the beach. I'm really not happy with this yet. This is... I'm gonna have to work this a little bit. I thought this was going to be an easy painting, but it's turning out to be not so easy. Because you got all these little delicate waves and everything. And the light is just reflecting on everything. Maybe the waves are darker than I'm giving them. Maybe I need a little bit more darkness on some of these waves. Okay, I need a little bit more reflection maybe. There were some birds that flew past too as I was standing there. Actually, there were a lot of birds. I didn't get too many in the video I made, but there were a lot of birds. A lot of birds. You know those little no-seams I was talking about? I bet you that's what those birds were eating. I just thought about that. I bet you that's what they were flying around getting. The very things that were trying to eat me were being eaten. Now that's a thought. What do you think? You think it's done? I'm gonna lift up some of the paint in some of these areas here. Get the white shining through again. Pull it away. Maybe behind the guy too. Make it a little bit brighter. So we can see our little guy there. Just pull the paint up. thinking it or not. Maybe I should have kept it simpler. But I think I'm going to say it's done. It's definitely not the best sunrise I think I've ever painted. So I'm a little disappointed in it, but oh well. It is what it is, right? As they say. That's what they say. It is what it is. Well, definitely, I'm still learning. What do you think? Should I take a chance and put a couple birds in the sky? What do you think? Hope I didn't just ruin it. A couple of birds that you see flying in the distance. Because they were there, they were eating things. Probably fish. Those ones are probably eating fish. Alright. There's the card. There's the card. I'm going to fold it now. And make it a card. If it's not folded, it's not a card. Well, I guess it could be. Alright, well there's my card for today. Based on my weekend. The last couple of days. Alright. Thank you for watching, for subscribing. Don't forget there's a Facebook page or Facebook group. Facebook.com/groups/Poppa Paints. I would love to see some of the work you're doing. I already love what you're doing. And if you do any paintings from the reference photos from the videos that I posted, that's absolutely permittable or permissible. Don't worry. As I said in the video, I am not going to claim a copyright on God's art. Anyway, all right. I'll see you later. Bye.